everyone, this is Trisha and welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to show you how I created this Christmas wreath using folded fabric for the leaves. Alright, so let's start with the supplies. Now let me let you know that your supplies will differ in size, prices, and colors from what I am choosing. So I'm just going to tell you what I'm going to be using to create my wreath, and you can just use that as inspiration to create your own. Alright, so first I'm going to start off with a styrofoam wreath. This is a 9.8 inch in diameter. I got this from the Dollar Tree. Here I have some greenery and some florals. These I happen to grab from the Dollar Tree. I just have this sort of like a fern and some little bits that are left over from another little bush and some poinsettias. Here I have a scrap piece of pine garland. And I have these little Christmas trees of 3 sizes. I grabbed these from Walmart. These were $1 each, and this one was 86 cents. I'm also going to be using some ribbon, and this is a 1.5 inch wide ribbon. You only need one design, unless you want to use 2 different ones, as I'm holding here. And I'm going to need some fabric, and I decided to go ahead and use burlap, and I have 3 colors. I grabbed these from Walmart. They were $5 each. I grabbed this one from Hobby Lobby. It was half off, so it was $3.49. Now I happen to have this little bit of a sign that was left over from a Dollar Tree sign that I purchased. You can use anything if you want to use a little ornament. This is completely optional. You don't have to use this. Now I'm going to be using greenery pins. This is what they look like. And here I have some chenille stems, or I could use some floral wire instead. I'm also going to be using some hot glue, so I want to make sure that I have plenty of these glue sticks available. I'm going to be using these wire cutters and some scissors, and I'm going to need something to measure with. In place of my scissors, I could also use some rotary cutters, and for measuring, I could also use this cutting board. Alright, so those are the supplies that I'm going to be using, so let's get to crafting. Alright, so the first thing I want to do is I want to cut out some 4 by 4 inch pieces of fabric, or as I have here, some burlap ribbon, and I'm going to be using my cutting board and my rotary cutter. I just find that the easiest to use, but you can use your scissors if you prefer. So we're just going to measure 4 inches. I'm going to trim off this edge here. Okay, so now 4 inches this way. And we're going to start off with that. So we're going to fold these into a triangle like that in half, and then we're going to put our finger right in the middle and bring this down, and then the other one down. It'll overlap a little bit, so we have these bits here. Alright, so I've cut out 3 of them to start off with. Now I could do this all in the same color and do all of my wreath in just one color or 2 colors, and as you can see here, I have 3 colors that I'm going to do. So for my first row, I'm going to do the cream colored, and I'm going to cut 3 of those, and then I'm going to do red, and then I'm going to do this burlap, this natural burlap color. So I'll do 3, 3, and 3, and then I'll start again with this cream, and I'm just going to cut them as I need them. I really don't want to cover it completely with these. I just want to leave a little bit of the styrofoam exposed. So I'm just going to start off at one end, and once I get close to here, that's where I'm going to stop. So let me go ahead and start adding these on. And the way that we're going to do that is we're going to take the greenery pins here, and you might have to trim them because this wreath is very small and this is kind of long, so I'm going to trim mine as I go along. I can just trim them, or just trim a whole bunch of them to start off with. I don't want to trim more than I need. Okay, so the first one is going to go on the side here. So I'll use my pin, and I'm kind of going at a bit of an angle, and this styrofoam is a little hard, so you're going to have to push really well in there, so just making sure that it's not sticking out. So I cut it at the right length. Okay, so now I'm going to put the second one in there. I put my greenery pin through it, and I'm going to overlap this one just a bit, so I know that that's where it should go. And then I can take my third one and overlap that one, and then pin it into place. Just like that. Okay, so now let's do the second row with red. Alright, so there's my row with the red, and now I'm going to do a row with the tan. All right, so now I'm working on the tan row, and I'm just making sure that when I place these on here that I do overlap not only the previous but the one before it, so that I'm covering up where the pin is and any raw edges. Make sure that they're behind. If you have to, use your glue gun, add a little bit of glue back here just to make sure those raw edges stay down. You could even add a little bit of glue here, touch them up to hide them so they don't move around on you. Alright, so I'm going to highly recommend that you do use some like cotton fabric. Some Christmas prints would be really pretty. Or if you just have some regular, just scrap fabrics, use those and do them in different colors and it will look really pretty. You can do the same idea of creating this for any season. Okay, so now I'm going to start again with the cream, then the red, and the tan here. Now, if you just have one color, you don't have to worry about which pattern you're following. So just keep on adding these until you get to the point where we're going to leave a little bit of space to add all our greenery. The reason that I'm not completely covering it is that I don't want my wreath to end up like super bulky. So I'm going to leave a spot about so big without decorating it, okay? And that is about maybe 6 or 7 inches, like so. Okay, so I'm going to continue doing that, and I shall be back once I get the coverage that I want. Alright, so I'm doing the last one here. Now, as I've been pinning them, I've also been going back, and like I said earlier, with your glue gun, you can go in there and just glue things down so they're not, flying away, and also to make sure that you cover like the raw edges, like these right here. When you put another one, you cover these. So just use your glue gun for that. And then I've turned it around to the back. Let me get this pin in there. You turn it around to the back, and then you also want to glue down, these edges here on the back. I did it on both sides just to make sure everything was glued down correctly. Now, if I had some spots where, I just didn't want to hold down, I used another greenery pin, for example, like right here on this edge, just to hold that down. So you can do that. Now, if you don't have greenery pins, you find them too expensive, or you can't find them at all, then you can go ahead and use some straight pins. So between your straight pins and using your glue, your hot glue, you'll be able to do this. Alright, so I decided to go ahead and stop there. I could continue and make the gap a little bit smaller, but I feel like this is okay. I have that piece of garland that I think will cover that area, so obviously I have more than the 6 to 8 inches that I first said, so I might have about 10 inches here. Anyway, this is what I have so far, and if you're curious, because I did use 3 colors, and there's 3 here, and then there's 6 rows of each color, so each color I did 18, okay? There's 18 of the white here, there's 18 of the red, and the tan or the natural color here. But if you're going to do one solid color, so far I've done 54, and it just depends if how much you overlap them, like how close you overlap them over each other, or if you decide to add even more. Now, one thing I am going to add also is, if you're using burlap, it's going to be fraying a lot on you, so I am going to recommend that maybe you use a cotton fabric, something else that won't fray as much, because with all the fraying, especially this natural one, because it had a much more open weave on it, it was so much easier for these little strands to come apart. So my 4-inch square ended up getting smaller and smaller. I didn't have as much problem with this other one, which is a little tighter knit, but I am going to recommend that maybe use a cotton fabric or some other fabric instead of something like burlap that will fray a little too much. Alright, so that being said, now we want to decorate our wreath. Now, you could completely cover it, and when you get up to these, just lift these up and just tuck underneath as you pin them, and then just maybe glue these down. And I have been doing that, so there we go. Alright, so now I have this scrap piece of garland. Now, this piece of garland that I have happens to be about 12 inches. I've gone ahead and I've measured just the wired back here. That was about 12 inches. And that will be perfect for the spot that I need to cover. So I'm going to go ahead and use my greenery pins as well. Now again, they are a little too long, so I do need to snip them a little bit shorter. You could just go ahead and just pin right in, and then come to the back and trim off with your wire cutters any little tips that are protruding. Here I'm going to go ahead and use a nice long one, and I'm kind of angling it a little bit, trying to avoid it sticking out in the back, but I'm going to check it anyway. And I think I did a good job because it's not sticking out. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and attach it over on this side as well. There we go. All fine. Okay, so now I'm going to take my branches of the pine and just kind of direct them to either side, like so. You know, fan them out. Okay, so I have this little open spot right here. All right, so now I'm going to put my little trees, and I want to put them right in the middle here, sitting on the inside of the wreath. So I want to put lots of glue and get this on here first, and then I'll do the middle size one next to it, and then I'll do the small one on the other side. Alright, for this middle size one, before I glued it on, I was realizing that this is a little bit too big to put right here because it's going to be kind of overlapping the outer edge here of my wreath. So I went ahead and I yanked that off. So now I can just go ahead and just glue my tree right here at the bottom, and actually gives it a little bit shorter appearance, so it doesn't look as big as this one. So lots of glue on there. And then just hold it till it's dry. Okay, so the smaller tree has a much smaller base, so I could actually glue it flat on there, kind of off to the side, and then just bend my little tree so that he's straight like the other two trees. But let me find the nicer here. This one is a little bit nicer. So now that I've angled it what I need it, I can go ahead and put glue on there and then just stick it right on there. All right, so next I want to put a bow at the top of my wreath right up here. So I've got a chenille stem here ready, and I'm going to use both of these ribbons to create my bow. I'm going to do one first and then do the other. So I'm just going to do 2 loops, and I'm not going to make a very big bow. Okay. Alright, so while I have this one, before I tie it up, I'll just grab some more ribbon, crunch it up underneath here, make my loop, and that's it. And I'll need about half of that chenille stem. Now let's go ahead and use the whole thing because I just thought of something. Okay, let's go ahead and twist that on there. I'm going to cut my ends from the edge down to the folded center and create a little dovetail. Alright, so now I'm going to use this whole length of chenille so that I can tie it around my wreath. Pull it nice and tight. And because I have a nice long piece of chenille, I can now take these 2 little ends and twist them together so I can create a little loop here. So once you've twisted them, then bring these ends and twist around the side pieces here. So now you have a little loop where you can hang it from, and then you can fix up your bow. There that is. Alright, so now let's decorate it with some of the flowers and the extra greenery that I had. Alright, so I decided to just cut 2 flowers from that bush that I had, and I'm just going to fold this upward, bend a little stem down here, so that I can just hot glue it in there and make sure that the flower is facing forward. So I can just put some glue on the stem and stick it right in there. Okay, now the other one. Okay, so now I've got these beautiful branches with the, looks like a little white, like a fern with some snow on it, and it's a little bit sparkly. I'm going to add these in there as well. And then I also have these little bits that I had left over from another project. I'll stick some of those in there as well. And there we go. And last I want to stick this little sign right up here in the front. This will kind of cover up this base here of this little tree here. And you know, the little ends of these other little stems that I put on there. So I'm just going to glue it about right there. So I need some glue right here, so it'll stick this section here. And a little bit to stick onto the trees. So there we go. All right, everyone, I have completed my wreath and I've even hung it up so that you can see it hanging. I think it looks really, really nice. The only thing I'm going to say is maybe instead of burlap, use some regular fabric, and I think I've mentioned that during the video. I love using burlap. It did fray a lot and it did leave little fuzzies everywhere and it just left me itching forever. But because I love using it, I'm really happy with it. So if you love using burlap, go right ahead and use it. And then, of course, like I said, you could use some little scrap fabrics and just create a different look if you want to use it for a different holiday other than, you know, Christmas. So there we go. I'm going to leave myself a big old thumbs up. I hope that you too will give me a big old thumbs up and leave a nice comment down below. Let me know what you think of my project. Are you going to be using it, the idea of the little folded leaves, to create something of your own? Have you already done this? So just let us know. You can also follow me on Facebook at Trisha's Creations. The link is down below in the description box. And I'll also be putting the supplies that I used for this project in the description box. All right, everyone, subscribe if you haven't already subscribed. And I want to thank you very much for subscribing and leaving all your really lovely comments and for your thumbs up. Those are really important for me. And share on your social medias, everyone. Please be kind, respectful, spread the love, and as always, enjoy.